sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. It's 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience, and welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Tonight, I am accompanied by another Bahamian maritime professional, one that is no stranger to our show Maritime Matters. My dear listening audience, I am most pleased to introduce you to my co-host tonight, one with a wealth of international maritime knowledge and experience. With me tonight is my mini-me, Lady Misty Bain. Misty, welcome again to Maritime Matters.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening to listeners. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and this is exciting times, Misty. We got big by-election tomorrow up in West End and Bimini. We got a boating incident hot off the press. We got billions of anticipated dollars in carbon credits coming our way, we think. And what an exciting time to be alive, eh?
Yes, definitely indeed. And still condolences going out to the late
Obadiah Hercules Wilscombe.
Yes,
Yes, a great man he was.
definitely.
And he lives in our hearts as life goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, our sponsors to the night, no other than, as you know, One-on-One Pharmacy, also Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau, and of course Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send the refills via the online site oneononepharmacy.com. 3 locations: East Street South, Charlestown Highway, and of course in Freeport, Explorers Way. We are secondly sponsored by PMC, that's us, Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. We provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. And the third, we're sponsored, proudly sponsored, and the joint sponsorship of GBI pilots and Bimini pilots. These are a contingent of independent marine pilots that are making themselves available to provide marine piloted services to any and all ships outside of the designated ports of Nassau and Freeport Harbor. That means any family island and or private island in the Bahamas. So please, feel free to call on GBI pilots or Bimini pilots for all your marine pilot needs. Tonight, we shall engage discussions on the sinking of one of the vessels that conduct ferry service to Blue Lagoon Island, the Islander 3. And of course, we will delve into activities surrounding carbon reductions happening in the maritime world today. Topics should include, therefore, staff panicked as boat sank. A 75-year-old American tourist dies in the incident, and 2 passengers were taken to the hospital. Passengers complained that panicking staff did not know what to do and provided no directions as to their double-decker boat began sinking en route to Blue Lagoon Island. What really happened on board this vessel? Which entity are really responsible for this mishap? What measures are required to avoid a likely repeat of incidents of this sort? Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Those items will be addressed. Also, the Ministry of Energy and Transport confirmed that the Port Department will lead a multi-agency investigation into the boating incident. Preliminary reports are that the Islander 3 departed New Providence with about 140 passengers on board, 140 souls, including another handful of crew. It's a lot of people on board that one vessel, and it's a short voyage, so we do this every day. But when things go wrong, we want to know what the deal is. Should this be the Port Department, though, spearheading such an investigation? Or should this be the Bahamas Maritime Authority spearheading such an investigation? Might this investigation lead to a commission of inquiry? Inquiring minds would like to know. A third topic. Blue Lagoon launches a rigorous probe after boat sinking. So Blue Lagoon Island itself has its share of concerns. And the dailies would read, Blue Lagoon Island said yesterday it has launched a rigorous independent forensic investigation. And this was the day right after the incident, The incident was on November 14th. That's about a week ago. And the following day, the 15th, Blue Lagoon Island said they're going to launch a forensic investigation, which one of its vessels encountered rough seas and was partially submerged. Partially submerged. Big word there. Partially submerged. And it was. It was not capsized. It was just submerged. Details to come. What might be achieved by invoking a forensic investigation by the operators of those vessels? We will find out as we go. Another topic, the big one. Experts call for greater role for the ocean at climate talks. So it's only 3 weeks until the annual, I think we're down to 2 weeks now, until the annual UN climate conference takes place in Dubai, UAE. World leaders, civil society, and business representatives will gather at COP28 from the 30th of November, my goodness, that almost 1 week left, to the 12th of December, to discuss ways to increase the ambition of emission reduction while responding to the already visible climate crisis. Yeah, they've seen it already. It's hotter now than faster than they thought it would be. We're nearing that 1.5 degrees Celsius, which we don't want to cross. But what is the Bahamas' position on its emission reduction based on the pledges that the Prime Minister made? Where is the Bahamas on its preparation for receiving compensation for being a major carbon sink? We got largest seagrass meadows in the world. We got large mangrove forests. When are we going to start receiving our donado for our carbon sinks? How far are we from it? Again, inquiring minds would like to know. From an international perspective, we got the MSC, which is the Mediterranean Shipping Company, cruise ship company, confirmed today that it has exercised the option for 2 more cruise ships that will be among the largest currently in the industry. And when they say the largest, they talk about those mega ships that are over 200,000 gross tons. So they're going to introduce 2 cruise ships that are going to be at 215,800 gross tons each. That is huge, ladies and gentlemen. If you remember the Fantasy and the Ecstasy from back in the day, those were only 70,000 gross tons. These things are like 4 times the size. Well, 3 times the size, eh? 3 times the size. 215,000 gross tons. So we are saying monsters nowadays, and beautiful monsters, eh? Beautiful monsters. So they're gonna have 2 at that size that will start it up, and these would be the first 2 cruise ships over 200,000 tons to be ordered by the industry in over 3 years. That is, since the onset of COVID-19, there has been no ships ordered over 200 gross tons. So these would be the first 2. And then they got a couple to follow. And there's MSC. MSC don't have nothing over 200 gross tons right now. The only company in the world that has cruise ships over 200 gross tons is which one?
Royal.
RCCL, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, or RCI as we know it, Royal Caribbean International. They're only, now they're going to be joined in about a year time, 2 years time, 2015 or 2025, by MSC Cruises. And I know Carnival AFI, you know Carnival is the big boys. They got more ships than everybody else. So they want to get in the game of those mega over 200,000 gross ton ships, and they're going to be coming. Okay? So we'll see how that goes. And we got the decarbonization project by this big company called Shell. So across the Shell company, there is a what they call low carbon solutions business area. So they introduced this area called low carbon solutions because they have to make solutions as to how they're going to lower their carbon being released into the environment, because it's going to cost them so much money if they don't. And this new business area aims to develop carbonization solutions. So, correction, decarbonization solutions, including hydrogen and biofuels. See, they're moving to hydrogen because hydrogen, when they use, hydrogen is really water, the oxygen from the water.
Yeah.
And so that hydrogen don't release any carbon into the environment. But of course, it's more expensive than the fuel that they use today. But it gets the job done without costing them anything. So hydrogen is going to be big business in moving forward. And of course, biofuels, which means they lower the amount of carbon in the existing fuel by putting some bio stuff in there. And that's what they got to do initially. But moving forward, when they, in 2050, when it has to be 0 carbon emissions, they would basically just be using things like hydrogen and batteries and sails. And oh, we got so much to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. This world is moving forward with decarbonization. The Bahamas may not be moving forward so fast, but I can tell you in this shipping industry, it's happening. It's not a hoax, it's happening. And many of them are going to be turning to places like the Bahamas, which have large carbon sinks to offset as they move forward to decarbonize. So looking specifically at shipping, it is suggested that there is no defined single route to decarbonization. Then they got something in the maritime feeds that Wärtsilä introduces first commercial 4-stroke ammonia dual fuel engine. Now, ammonia don't release any carbon in the environment either. So ships, Wärtsilä, are making engines that run off 4-stroke engines that run off ammonia. They made a significant breakthrough in enabling sustainable shipping operations with the company's first commercially available 4-stroke ammonia fuel engine based solution. So Wärtsilä is moving along, and guess what? What kind of engines you think BPL uses to give us power? They use Wärtsilä, ladies and gentlemen. So if Wärtsilä now have ammonia-fed engines that are coming on stream, then the Bahamas could find a solution right away with using or replacing what we have with an ammonia-based. We would be putting no carbon in there. So when we tell them we won't get paid for our carbon sink, they wouldn't be able to tell us, yeah, but you ain't making no effort to do nothing but decarbonization. We could say, hey, ain't putting none in there from our power supply, no more, our power institution no more, because we're using 4-stroke ammonia dual fuel engine from Mozilla. That's what we'll be doing. Then we got Chantiers, that's shipyard. They're making cruise ship, large cruise ship, but another one for celebrity. I mean, let's talk about MSC. What about Celebrity Cruises? Well, of course, Celebrity Cruises is owned by Royal Caribbean International Group. Yeah? So France delivered one large new cruise ship to Royal Caribbean's Celebrity Cruises, while work also started yesterday on the 5th and final cruise ship. Stop large cruise ship orders for the time being. So RCCL have so many large ships, and Celebrity falling under their armpit. They're saying that this could be the last one for a little while, right? Now, this Celebrity cruise ship is not over 200,000 gross. This one is like 150,000, which is still a very huge ship. They carry about 6,000 passengers. But guess what? This ship is running off natural gas. Again, very little carbon emissions. So the shipping worlds, particularly and specifically the cruise ship world, are doing the leaps and bounds to try and move to where they will be zero carbon emissions by 2058. This is happening, people. This is happening. This is not hoax. This is not jokes. This is happening. And while this is happening, we are keeping a sharp eye on when our money coming for our carbon sinks we have naturally blessing us in the Bahamas, eh? And we got the Neuraliner sail-powered Ro-Ro cargo ship starts construction. So construction began with the ceremonial first steel cut, what is expected to be one of the largest commercial sailing ships ever. So this is going to be a ship that carry containers. And they're going to be operating off sail only. You know what that means? They ain't get no engine to emit carbon. So we could talk about all of these things as we move forward. Our show is too short to cover all these, but we can see how far we get, right? Boy, but we can do the first set first. These are the basic topics that we seek to engage tonight. B1, we are locked and loaded with information. So please stay tuned as we unload this litany of details surrounding these timely topics. We're talking maritime, people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break. When we return, we will engage tonight's litany of maritime topics. Listen, people, don't touch that dial because you know you don't want to miss this one. Thank you very much.
At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
A very quick message to all the other radio stations out there. Caught you listening again. Number one for talk, hits, and oldies in the Bahamas. Love 97 FM.
And welcome back to Maritime Matters. Again, I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and I am joined tonight by Minnie, my very own daughter, Captain Misty Bain. I take this opportunity here to say good night to Annie Mae. Good old Auntie Mae up there in Freeport, the second city. My number one fan from day one. She is north of 90 years old, people, and still counting strong. Continue to roll on, Auntie Mae. Continue to roll on, honey. To our listening audience out there, I take pleasure in introducing to you the man behind the controls, our wonderful producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I reserve no hesitation in presenting to you tonight the insatiable, the man with all the power. He is fully able, quite capable, the one and only, Mr. Craig Gibson. Yeah! Okay, caller, we see you on the line. We'll be with you in 5 seconds. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. We are weekly at 19:30 every Tuesday here on Love 97. Purpose of our show is to highlight people that contribute to maritime in the Bahamas. Mainly Bahamians, but we can highlight other people too if they have a significant impact in the Bahamas to us. Halfway through the show, we'll open the phone line. Well, we'll open the phone lines now because we have a caller. The number to reach us is 326-8255. Again, you want in on this discussion, and I got a litany of stuff to cover, call us at 326-8255. Caller, you're listening to Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you.
God bless. Good evening, Glenn. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jerome. Boy, everything cool. How you doing, man?
God bless you. Thank God for life.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And hey, Misty, how you doing?
Hey, good evening, Jerome. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. Nice to see you on the radio in the Bahamas again.
Yep, back.
You know, Glenn, after last week's show, boy, I mean, you had my mind going. I actually went online and I found that actual study.
Yep.
That the Tribune wrote up on in their June 22nd article this year.
I told you it wasn't no secret, man. It was out there.
Yeah. And actually, I have it open. I actually sent you something by text. If you could have Misty look it up on Google, the actual study itself.
Yeah, I have a copy of that.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you're a man who prepared, so yeah, my apologies there.
Yeah, got
But
a
the
copy.
reason I'm saying that is there's the section of it that says the Bahamas has the largest percentage of seagrass, I think. Yeah, largest share of Caribbean seagrass.
Yeah, we got 62% in the Caribbean.
Yeah, 62% in
Yeah.
that area, yeah. And then they're saying that one.
And in the world, we got like 30%.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that $156
$billion.
billion in value, that actually has to do with services that our country's seagrass caters to, like, I suppose, fisheries and whatever other.
No. That is for the sequestering of carbon out of the environment and storing it into
Yeah.
the ground.
But anyway, I am just wanting to say that I wanted just to get a bit more understanding. That's why I went to look at these studies.
Yeah, man. Me and you could
And
talk
it's
about this
pretty good.
forever
I mean,
because there's so much
my
of
point,
it.
You brought a lot of clarity and enlightenment to the listening public, and it really caused me to start to think more and wonder more. So I appreciated you doing that. The other thing I wanted to ask you, when you talk about ships,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about gross tonnage,
Yeah.
Glenn, probably 95 to 98% of your listening audience do not know what the size of a ship is when you use the gross tonnage of that vessel.
Yeah, that's why I said the fantasy and the ecstasy back in the day were like 70,000 gross. Most people know what those ships look like. Now, you probably don't.
No, but my point is, could you actually give us an idea as to how long these ships are, these vessels, when you're talking about the tonnage, if you can give us the length as well?
Well,
there are people like me that understand the size of that ship, because even when I could see, when I looked at a boat, and somebody would have said however many gross tonnage, I would have never been able to tell just by the size of that boat.
Well,
it was XYZ gross tonnage. I could always tell, oh, that's a big boat because it was a 100 feet long or 900 feet long. That's where my unit of measurement or weight measurement came in.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So it would help for persons like me to understand more so the details or the factors that you're referring to when you talk about ships.
You know the 100-meter track. I know when you would have seen the Sports Center track, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
So when people run into 100 meters, that's like 300 plus feet.
Yeah.
And so these ships are like 1,100 feet long. They're like 3 times the length of a 100-meter track.
Now you put it in a language now that I could understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying.
Yeah, but not only that, we see the Oasis class ships coming into our port, Nassau Harbor, on a routine basis. They got like 6 of those Oasis class. All of them are over 1,100 feet long.
What is an Oasis class?
Oasis of the Seas, all those big ships that go on the outer dock, Oasis of the Seas, and all those other of the seas, the big ones. I can't remember all the names now, right? But most Bahamians would know what the Oasis class is, who work near the dock or who has any affiliation with cruise ships. They would know the Oasis class, the largest set of ships in the world.
For clarity's sake, the first ship of its type, is that the name of that ship is what defines the class of ships of all ships of that size?
Usually that's how it works, Joe.
Okay, yeah.
So Oasis would have been the very first one of that size,
or magnitude.
and they use the same mold to do the rest.
Right, exactly.
And then they have the Icon class, which would be something like 250,000 goals. So they are a lot larger than the Oasis class, but I think there's only one ship so far in that class, and that's the largest ones in the world. Oasis used to be the largest in the world, and now these 2 that I just mentioned, that MSC is going to build, they are going to be the 3rd largest because they'll be like 215,000 goals. They'll be smaller than the Oasis, which is like 222,000 goals.
Again, what's the length, if you can give me?
Yeah, they're all over 1,100 feet. So you're looking at anywhere between 1,100 and 1,200 feet.
You remember years ago, ships by the name of the Oceanic that used to come here?
Yeah, the Oceanic, the big red boat. The Oceanic was.
I forgot the idea. But there used to be some very nostalgic names of ships that used to come to the Bahamas years ago.
They were about 700 feet long.
Right, that's what I was about to ask you. About, and I can remember clearly in my mind's eye how big.
Yeah, they were huge when they first came. They were the largest ships in the world when they were built.
These ones now are almost 1.5 times longer.
Yeah. You're right. Absolutely, yeah.
Man, those are some huge.
And that's only the length, but the size, because they're far wider and they're far taller. So the size and tonnage wise, they're like 4 times the tons of the Oceanic.
Right.
Yeah, 4 times the tonnage.
Interesting.
So yeah, these ships are huge. And as large as they are, they're also beautiful.
So I'm gathering, yes.
And comfortable. They got shopping malls on these ships, man.
Have it?
Some of them have shopping malls.
They're like
floating cities, they call them now.
Floating cities, exactly. Yeah.
Indeed.
I find it amazing that that some of them are being built. I stand to be corrected, but I believe I heard that one of them was built with a beach on it. A cruise ship built with a.
I know they got mountain climbing and stuff. I know, but no beach. They got many pools. It could be an artificial beach they put on. I mean, it's possible.
An artificial beach on the ship.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, but getting back to the wealth of the country.
Yeah. Well, all of us wealthy, right?
Oh, that's the point I was about to get at.
Yeah, man, we borrowed. They're rich.
Now, let me just do a little quick mathematical journey here.
Oh, you're trying to get me in trouble now. I heard some mathematical stuff being fleshed out on social media, and they're accurate. I'm not saying something is wrong with them. And if we were to realize what we think we have, they will be appropriate and they will be applicable too.
See, and I want to be general now. I don't want to use any specific natural resource. Just let's say right now,
But the only one you really have that could bring big bucks is the carbon sinks.
Yeah.
The other ones, we don't know if they could bring a dime to us.
You made that point clear last week, but I don't want to necessarily get too caught up on the type of.
No, but let's call it what it is. It wouldn't be accurate for you not to call it what it is, because you can't just loop that in with the others, because it's like night and
What
day.
I'm trying to do, Glenn, I want the listening audience. See, I like to try and help to enlighten my fellow Bahamians, to give them some examples to relate to reality.
But let's keep it accurate, though.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to be accurate now.
Okay, go ahead.
The last census that was taken, it was taken in 2002 because of the COVID-19 in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
The last census pegged our country's population just under
400,000.
400,000.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you let's say right now our country's intake or revenue generation was, say, $100 billion a year from, let's say, from carbon credits. Just use that as an example.
Well, yeah, we know that we take in like 12 to 15 billion right now on an ongoing basis.
Now, see,
our revenue, yeah.
If you were to give every Bahamian out of that $100 billion, every Bahamian $50,000 a year, that's only $20 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And our national debt right now is about $11 billion. So you take another $11 billion, you pay off the national debt.
Absolutely.
In the first instance, right? And then our budget to operate this country every year seems to be in the neighborhood of, what, 10 billion?
Yeah, about 12.
Yeah,
about 12.
generally speaking.
No, about you talking about our budget is like 4 billion.
Okay, see, the national budget, yeah, the amount of money it takes every year to
it's
operate
about
the country.
It's about 4 billion that the government gets out of the 12 to 15 billion that is revenue wise.
Now, see, I'm not talking about just what the government gets. I'm talking what we spend every year to operate the country.
That's what the government budgets. The government budget is based on 3.5 to 4 billion.
I'm trying to be corrected, but let's use your figure just for argument's sake. Let's say 5 billion, just for argument's sake.
Yeah, okay, easy, yeah.
Okay, you take you take 5 billion out of that $100 million, and you operate the budget every year. And if make believe now, if you're getting 100 billion a year, my point is less than 40 billion of that 100 billion can be used to operate the country and to pay Bahamians what they call another stipend, but a commission, so to speak, a royalty.
Yeah, yeah.
You and me and all the week, 400,000 of us could get $50,000 a year. See.
Yeah, but we already know this. This is why I tell you we all rich, because this money is there.
You know, and I know a lot of stuff, but see, a lot of our fellow Bahamians to this day don't appreciate that we are wealthy, and they don't understand yet that they have the right to benefit from the natural resources of this country, from the funds generated. A lot of people don't appreciate that yet, you know.
You need to get them to listen to Maritime Matters then.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm talking like this tonight on your show.
Yes, sir.
I help to encourage and to motivate, because guess what? If we are obligated to pay taxes, which we are as citizens, we therefore then should be able to enjoy the fruits from the natural resources of the country.
From our blessings. From our blessings. You know, I'm Dr. Miles Monroe, God bless his soul, continue to bless his soul, always said to us, the Bahamas is a place where God lives. And now, this can be one of the reasons why we can see that what he was saying is actually in place. I mean, I'm sure we didn't notice when he was saying that, but it's being revealed right now.
But you know, Glenn, God has placed in every country some type of a natural resource.
Yep.
And at any one point in time in the history of this world, that country could benefit from the dollar value pegged to their natural resource. Thank God we are now, the Bahamas is now in a position where carbon credit has become the in thing now, and we as a country can benefit from the value.
Just make sure you hold on to that Bahamian passport. Make sure you hold on to that Bahamian passport, because that could be valuable in a little while.
And you know, I did listen to a video, I didn't get the gentleman's name. He was talking about, you know, Bahamians sadly and unfortunately selling their votes. But he was encouraging them not to sell their votes. And he was saying to the persons who were listening to him that he was using that 154 or 156 billion dollar worth value on the carbon credits, and he said, "As well, Bahamians, you're worth anywhere between 200 and 251 or 259 or so $1,000 of Bahamian every year
per annum." Yeah.
And your vote or your passport or your citizenship was valued if you put a dollar value on it. So
he actually.
Healthy people, and I just want to encourage my fellow Bahamians to start thinking up like that more. Let us be responsible, but let us also acknowledge the fact and begin to demand the right to benefit from the natural resources, because the second section of our country's constitution begins with these words: "We, the heirs of and successors to these family of islands," that make you and I beneficiaries of everything that goes on in this country.
That's why you need to hold on to that passport.
For anyone who's listening,
Yeah.
to encourage them to keep on studying and keep on listening to Maritime Matters, because there's a lot of good stuff coming out, and you really hit me like with a ton of bricks last night when I heard that last week on your show for the first time.
So what's your take on the Islander 3 now? This currently the vessel that will go into Blue Lagoon Island and sank.
Well, it was a tragedy, and my thing is, well, first of all, has there been any report left for that as to what caused that vessel to sink?
No, my understanding is
Still
there's an
currently under
investigation going on,
yeah.
spearheaded, or was going to be spearheaded by the Port Department.
Okay.
And I am of the view that because they already kind of taken the ship from the bottom of the sea, the vessel that is no longer the bottom of the sea. The top part came up, and then the bottom part, it's refloated now. So the investigation, of course, will be going on with that as they do their forensics on the vessel itself.
But first of all, my condolences to the family of the one person whose life was lost.
Yeah, the 75-year-old tourist.
75-year-old lady.
Yeah.
Boy, what a way to remember one's vacation, eh?
Yeah, not good.
But Glenn, the Port Authority is the regulator for a good reason. So my question is, how could a vessel, not yet knowing what the cause was, but how could a vessel in such a highly sensitive area of this country, our tourism industry, be allowed to operate to the extent where it became a liability?
Well, it's only a matter of, first of all, having regulations that vessels have to comply with, and second of all, enforcing the regulations. And we can talk about that in detail in a little while.
But the enforcement part is what I'm actually hinting at. What was the Port Authority truly doing the inspection work that it needed to have been doing to ensure that a vessel like that did not sail the seas if there were problems found? Because obviously there was a problem with that vessel. That's to why it sunk.
I agree. Well, we'll go into the details, Mr. and I, as we move along. So if you listen in, you'll hear.
It's a tragedy. I wish it didn't happen.
Right.
My condolences to the family again, and let's pray God that something like this does not ever happen again, because we're going to be a bit more stringent in how we regulate the industry. Thank you for your time, and nice to hear you again, Misty. God bless you.
You as well, Jerome.
Thank you. We got another call on the line, so before we move to our topic, thank you, Jerome, for a wonderful long call. Caller, welcome to Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling.
Good evening, Captain Bain. This is Captain Bain.
Captain Brain. Boy, we got 2 brains in the room now. What's happening, man?
Good evening.
I had to call in when I heard that voice of that lovely assistant of yours. I thought it was very fitting for me to call and say, Misty, hello, how are you?
Hello there.
Happy to have you with us.
Yes, definitely happy to be here.
Indeed. Captain Bain, I have one comment to make, and 2 comments to make, particularly as relates to this whole business of sovereign wealth fund, and then I'm going to leave. I think that we, in order for us as Bahamians to benefit from this whole business of carbon credit, we have a lot of groundwork to do, and that groundwork is not in place. we talk about the Constitution, and I heard your caller earlier, and he's absolutely correct, and is speaking about some of the things, the preamble of the Constitution and the like. But we've always had a system where we have given all our constitutional rights to the politicians, and so unless we change, we have some very, very, in my opinion, important and fundamental changes to make in the way this country is governed. We will not realize, and sorry to be a pessimist, we will not realize the benefits of what this country has to offer in terms of our natural resources. We have other countries like Guyana, we have Dubai, we have Saudi Arabia, which are all models
Norway.
to prove that this thing can actually work. But could it work in the Bahamas? And are we willing as a people to change fundamentally this archaic system that we have here that's patterned after our colonial masters, and that's actually hindering us rather than
Helping.
supporting our progress? So I think we have a lot of work to do when it comes to this politics that we have saddled ourselves with, and that we have deliberately chained ourselves to, and we just can't seem to shake ourselves off it before we can even think about benefiting in a collective way that where the masses can enjoy the wealth of this country.
Absolutely, my friend, Misty.
I completely agree with you. We have a whole lot of enthusiasts. You hear social media, I don't know if to call them rants, but I mean, there's a lot of things cycling around social media about it. I think you're absolutely correct. Other than the groundwork that needs to be done in order for the country to benefit as a collective, a lot of people still need to be educated on it, and hopefully you can have like full transparency, because that seems to be something that's always lacking, especially here.
Yeah, and listen, you're absolutely correct. But when you talk about full transparency, when we know that, and Brother Gomez, Drexel Gomez, actually spoke when they did the commission many years ago. One of the lines, if I'm quoting him correctly, is that the Bahamas is endemically corrupt from top to bottom. And so when we talk about all this transparency, and we talk about everybody benefiting from this thing, how do we get there, Cap? How do we get there?
I tell you what's going on with for the most part, we are moving forward. As far as we have an act or two acts now in place to be able to, provide the channel to go after that money. We got some more work to do. But again, everything, they had a seminar last year with the persons responsible for getting that act together, and the persons that are attending these, the experts in the Bahamas that are attending these COP26 and the COP28 coming up meetings and all the rest of that. And we are pledging things to the United Nations as far as what the country is going to be doing by 2030 and then 2050. We got the BMA dealing with all these ships, making all these changes to their shipping as far as trying to decarbonize shipping. I'm sure the same thing is happening with ICAO, and ICAO with the Airport Authority and all the rest of that. The government has made some pledges to do dealing with vehicles for the government fleet, but of course I think we got up to mandate for the entire vehicles all over the country. This can't be mandated. You can't bring in anything over 10 years old. We can mandate, look, from this point on, you can't bring in nothing that has a combustible engines. So I think we're going to get there, right? And we've also, as you may or may not know, we've also hired a company to map out all of our seagrass meadows and map out all of our mangrove forests, and that has happened already, right? We paid for that. But there are some concerns I would have surrounding, what engagement we having with these companies, with some other entities, as far as how our carbon credits are going to be collected at the end of the day. I'm not sure that we're setting the right stage for that. And next week, that's going to be addressed at length. But, you know...
And you know, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you went in depth. What I was thinking a few minutes ago as you were speaking is the fact that when are we going to get a roadmap of sorts where it's indicated what we will have done and what we have left to do and what direction we're going to be headed in and how long it's going to take us to get there, and in the aftermath of us getting there, what the expectation of the Bahamian people can be, right? I think I've heard in numerous different settings, individuals who kind of alluding to it, but they don't have all the details. So I don't know how you can have all this mapping out, all this stuff going on a topic with regards to topics so timely as this and so interesting to the Bahamian people, particularly as relates to benefits. And we can't even say, well, what trajectory we are on as a people and as a country towards this whole effort. So I think we are failing miserably in that regard, and those powers to be who are responsible for this need to get their act together, get the Bahamian people involved, let us know what's going on, to stop some of all the miscommunication, miseducation, and start coming clean with the Bahamian people.
Agreed. Now is not the time to be silent.
You're absolutely right. And like I was saying, last year, around mid last year, the Prime Minister said to the nation that by the end of 2022, we should be getting somewhere in the range of $300 million a year from our carbon credits. Well, of course, that didn't happen then. Up to now, it's almost the end of this year. It still hasn't happened. But a lot of things happened in the interim as far as creating the legislation and getting the thing mapped out and all the rest of that. But, you know, they always say the devil is in the details. So there are some details that we got to look at, and I'm prepared to address some of that in my show next week. Details as to how this whole framework is going to result with the money coming into the Bahamas. And I want to say the Treasury, right? But based on what I'm seeing, I can't say the Treasury. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. And once we get to the bottom of it, I'm sure that pressure would be born all around, because as time moves forward, we are definitely moving, the whole world is moving toward net zero emissions. The whole world is moving toward 50% emissions by 2040. The whole world is moving toward what countries are doing for this COP28 coming up. All countries are going to have to report where they are with their carbon reductions timetable and all that. So things are happening all the time. Things are happening all the time. But again, you know, in this country, we change governments pretty often. Election is coming up in about 2 years' time. Well, what is it? 2026.
Yeah.
So,
thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, Betsy, for entertaining me. And very interesting topics tonight. And I appreciate the opportunity to chime in.
Thank you so much for calling, my brother, as usual.
Thank you,
Keep
Captain
together
Brain.
and continue to be a favorite caller for Maritime Matters.
Indeed.
Indeed. Oh yeah, that's a third brain. We have too much brains in place just now, man. So as we are moving into what really happened aboard this vessel, naming the Islander 3, that was en route from, they say Paradise Island, probably Prince George Wharf, anywhere in the Nassau Harbor anyway, to Blue Lagoon Island, which is on the eastern side of Athol Island, I think it is, or maybe not Athol Island, North Key, whatever. Anyway, they were going to Blue Lagoon Island, and when they were approaching to enter, the vessel basically started to take on water and sank. Now, we don't know the details because, again, the investigations will reveal that. How it sank, why it sank, you know, how did it get to take on water? Was it from the choppy seas? And it wasn't very choppy based on the videos that I saw, it wasn't very choppy compared to what choppiness is be like in the Bahamas sometimes. But again, there are a lot of questions to be asked about what really happened on board this vessel. We knew for a fact that it was a flooding. We knew for a fact that it was an eventual sinking. We knew for a fact that passengers and crew were panicking. I don't think that the deliberation of the basic safety training under the SCCW code that I know the port department require for ship's crew, I think that they made it mandatory that they do the 4 core module basic, which are survival techniques, social responsibility, first aid, and firefighting. They're required to do that, but again, I'm not sure that every vessel is required to have so much crew on board, because now you can remember, those were people that were actually going to the quay to set up and assist with service and that type of thing. Those people were not necessarily
A part of the crew.
on board the vessel.
Right.
Right? And the passengers wouldn't know that. So when they see somebody panicking and not giving them directions, they may think this is a crew and they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
But that didn't necessarily have to be a crew based on how I know those trips work.
And I do too.
Right. Oh, you would know better than I would. So everybody is not qualified to assist in situations of disasters like this one, who are on board the vessel. They should have enough crew to deal with the amount of passengers, but by law there's nothing in place unless, of course, we go to what is called a local safety certificate.
Right.
So the next question I would ask is, which entity or entities are really responsible for such a mishap, right? In other words, you can have accidents all the time, but incidents of this nature, I think, could be very reduced, very minimized if certain things are at play within the system. Now, the government entity responsible for safety on board non-SOLAS commercial vessels operating in the Bahamas is the Bahamas Maritime Authority, not the Port Department. A lot of people think that because the Port Department registers these vessels, that they're responsible for safety on board these vessels as they operate. No, but it's not designed, because the Port Department do not have the expertise in dealing with safety on board vessels. That expertise is in our flag administration, the Bahamas Maritime Authority. And according to Section 186 of the Merchant Shipping Act, Chapter 268, it provides that local safety certificates, right, should be issued to vessels that are non-SOLAS and operating in the country. And it says, and I quote, "The minister may make regulations prescribing safety requirements and providing for issue of local safety certificates in respect of any ship or class of ship to which SOLAS does not apply." Now we know the vessels that SOLAS apply to.
Right.
Those would be, if it's a cargo ship, anything over 500 tons.
Yep.
And anything, and in addition to that, it got to also be doing international
voyages. Right.
So if you have a vessel over 500 tons in the Bahamas that is not doing international, it's not a SOLAS vessel.
Right.
Right? Secondly, for passenger vessels, it's any size. Once you carry more than 12 passengers for hire,
That's the passenger
you
vessel.
are passenger vessels, only on international voyages though.
True.
So again, all of these small boats that don't go international, they are non-SOLAS vessels. And according to the Merchant Shipping Act, which is to be enforced by the Bahamas Maritime Authority, not the Port Department, the minister may make regulations prescribing safety requirements and providing for the issue of a local safety certificate in respect of a non-SOLAS vessel. So in the case of this particular vessel and all the other vessels on a daily basis doing tours and charters and all the rest of that, they should all be issued a local safety certificate from the Bahamas Maritime Authority, right? And that local safety certificate can only be issued after relevant surveys are done. And these surveys have to be done by an expert in the area that the BMA recognizes of having the expertise to do these surveys. And we have a lot of Bahamians, a litany of Bahamians, who could be surveyors in this regard. Like yourself, like me, like anybody who have a certificate or captain or mate's license or chief engineer license under the STCW. They could qualify, and with a bit of apprenticeship, they can become surveyors of their own. And we can have in this country maybe over 100 surveyors.
Easily.
Right? Because every single one of these vessels registered by the Port Department, based on the Merchant Shipping Act, should be issued a local safety certificate to say that they are safe. Now, what is this local safety certificate going to entail? It will entail annual surveys every year based on when you get your local safety certificate. Within 3 months of that certificate being issued to you, you will be required to have your ship surveyed by an authorized surveyor that the BMA recognizes as this person can do surveys on non-SOLAS vessels in the Bahamas. Right? And that survey will require timely dry docking, because of course if you're carrying passengers for hire, based on the SOLAS requirement and the Caribbean code requirement and the small SCV code, the small commercial vessel requirement, which is really for vessels like this, you would need to take your ship out of the water at least once every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any idea, and I don't know if we do, and really I'm not suggesting that we do, have any idea when last this vessel and all the other vessels, because I ain't trying to single out this one.
Right.
But all the other ones that are doing daily transfers, carrying 50 people, 100 people, even the little ferry boats that take people from Nassau to Paradise Island, some of them don't come out of the water for years because they don't want to spend the money. But if they have to carry a local safety certificate, they will be required, before they can get a registration from the Port Department, to have a local safety certificate issued on an annual basis or endorsed on an annual basis by an authorized inspector of the BMA. Because once that survey is done, that survey is going to ensure that that vessel was dry docked in the last 2 years. It's going to ensure that that vessel have a safe manning document, and a safe manning document would say if you are a vessel that carrying 20 passengers, you have to have at least 3, a captain and 2 other crew on board. Or if you're carrying 100 people, you need to have a captain and 4 other people on board. And these people all need to be STCW basic safety training compliant. And this is what we need to do in this country to try and avoid or minimize the opportunity for these type of things to happen. And I'm not saying this one happened because of anything I'm saying, but we need to have a minimum standard that we know if this vessel is registered, it had undergone these things. So that safe manning document will ensure that a vessel like carrying over 100 persons would have enough crew on board that are properly trained in things like, as we were saying earlier, things like the 4 core modules require survival techniques, things like social responsibility, and of course if you run into a situation where you need to do first aid or firefighting, right? And this same local safety certificate would make sure enough people are on board to deal with crisis like that one. This same local safety certificate would ensure that a radio survey is done on board these vessels, radio, so that they wouldn't need to be in a situation where they try to use the radio, but the battery ain't working, the radio ain't pulling.
It's not hooked up properly.
So
and
you need to make sure that the crew can do drills, or they are doing drills to deal with situations when the vessel may be on fire, when it may be flooded, when it may be sinking or capsized, when they have a collision. And these drills have to be done on a routine basis that they need to document and show the surveyor when they come to do the survey for the local safety certificate. So exercise, routine, they have to be routine because prevention of pollution. You have to make sure that the vessel is not, when it changes its engine oil, putting oil in the water. And they need to show records to say when last they changed the oil, what they did with it, show the receipt for the company that took it away, things like that, like you do with big ships. So we could apply those things to these smaller vessels, and they would then have a structure to be governed by. And before the port department will give them a registration to continue their service every year, because their registration all expire on the 31st of December every year. Before they give them another registration, they would say, we need to see a local safety certificate and see that it's valid. So they know that those surveys were already done and the safety is being taken care of by the surveyor that the Bahamas Maritime Authority authorized to do surveys. And until this is done as intended by the law of the Bahamas, Merchant Shipping Act, then we feeling and we're not putting ourselves in position to make sure there is a platform for safety on board these vessels. And we need to get to it.
See, the way our first caller, Jerome, spoke about it, tourism is our #1 industry. And whereas you can't plan for tragedies, they happen. Someone is dead. Look at the Titanic. That's when all the regulations come out. So
That's
tragedy, correct. Tragedy creates the need for regulation.
To address things.
Right? Exactly. So unfortunately,
Caller, we see you on the line. I'll be with you in a minute. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, these kind of things, this is what sparks things to happen. What I didn't know was that this was a Royal Caribbean tender or charter. I did not read.
Well, it isn't owned by Royal Caribbean.
No, it's not owned by them.
They may be. They could come from any vessel.
Correct.
Any one of those cruise
But
ships.
I'm surprised that they wouldn't have their own set of requirements, because once you're doing business with them, they have their own set of basic requirements.
Yeah, but that wouldn't include surveying
No.
of these vessels.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Because without the surveying, the vessel may meet the requirements they have, but they would not know that the vessel was in dry dock.
Correct.
They would not know. And so, again, we got to get the authorities to want to make sure that our ships are operating safely within the Bahamas.
Agreed. And with the social media coverage that this had, I mean, it is not a good look. I mean,
well, we had some before this that I'll mention in a minute. Let me just go to the caller. Caller, you're on Maritime Matters.
Live, my brother, you're live, Mr.
Live, my brother, live, my boy Marlon to say. How are you, my friend?
Yes, I'm in him. And how are you and your daughter?
Oh, I am in top shape and getting better. And Misty, how you do?
very well, very well.
I hear the later than the facts of what's going on.
Why I see you in a hot spot? Don't you live in 8 Mile Rock or Besson? Where you live?
I live in Jonestown. I'm
So-
right in the heart of it.
So you voting tomorrow?
Yeah, man.
Well, I don't want to talk about no politics. Let's talk about maritime. Go ahead.
all of the politics, man. Right? Ben, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where does your oxygen come from?
Oxygen and the environment? Out of there?
Yeah, from where?
What you mean from where? From there? Well, my
I
oxygen.
want to tell you something. Don't get offensive now. I want to tell you something.
Hey, listen to know.
All right, then, great. That's the cigar.
The seagrass, does give you oxygen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just give you some because it takes in the carbon dioxide and releases oxygen into the sea, into the sea.
So it's a two-way thing. So the minute what happened, you wait till people back from general time.
No, but most of my oxygen comes from the tree that is near me.
No, that person, it's a bigger meadow than what we have on the land.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of countries don't have seagrass meadows, but they still have plenty of oxygen.
Well, they get the second-hand oxygen, you know.
Yeah.
That comes through like the trade winds and stuff like that. That basic and real way to take it through.
But you got to remember that the seagrass meadows are taking carbon out of the air for the entire world and giving oxygen into the air for the entire world.
And excreting oxygen.
Yeah, for the entire world, not just for us.
All right, guys. That's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people who know that they only think about one thing, you know what I mean? The benefits and the money that can come from it.
Yeah. Now you're all seafarer. I know you're all seafarer yourself. What you think about these safety arrangements for vessels that operate locally in the Bahamas?
We have been negligent for too long.
Man, for goodness sake. Let's take a bow and go in front of the class, my friend. Yeah, we got to do something about this, man. And we had a rec commission. We had a rec commission many years ago when the the United Star and the Sea Hauler had a collision at sea and the crane fall and 4 people were killed. Yeah, and the crane fall and 4 people were killed and a lot of people got injured and that Red Commission made certain recommendations.
Let
right?
me take it closer to you, man.
Go ahead.
The boat to the dock in Nassau.
The boat what?
The boat to the dock in Nassau.
Which boat?
The boat that sent to the boat to the dock in Nassau.
No man, they crawl out. They by the Defense Force base. Yeah, I know they raised them already. They're floating now and they're at the Defense Force base.
I'm speaking of negligence.
Well, you say Nassau, that's part of Nassau, yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, negligence to the effect that this is only one vessel. But if this vessel can have an incident like that, what about all the every day we get hundreds of vessels going to and taking tourists out in the harbor and to some of the forward keys and stuff, you know. That's a daily thing.
Ben, it's just something waiting to happen because it did before. The one that exploded in Exobly, in Exobly.
Yeah, they had that one. Yeah, that's so right.
We have to have specifications when it comes down to maritime vessel play.
Yeah, we need to survey.
See how fast the water can you.
We need to survey. We need to survey on a routine basis safety surveys on these vessels to ensure certain things are in place before the port department would register them. And until we get to that point, we joking.
Too much has happened.
I can tell you, me and you can blow the areas up. I mean, a lot of things need to be done. The man for the environment, you know what I mean? Your friend, he needs to get his act together.
No man, my friend doing some things. Now you gotta remember, when it comes to certain things, it was taken from out of his hands now.
Well, I know that, you know what I mean? But when it comes down to safety, you know what I mean? And this SOLAS and different type programs that deals with maritime.
That comes under
environmental things, you know what I mean? And infractions to that.
No, but we have
most of our coverage comes through the water.
Listen to me, King Arthur. We have what you call the MARPOL Convention, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's short for the Prevention of Maritime Pollution. MARPOL, MARPOL, pollution, right? The prevention of maritime. There's a whole convention that the entire world goes by with shipping. And once you've given out this local safety certificate, you could have a certificate. They have what's called International Oil Pollution or IOPP certificate. You could have a reduced version of an IOP certificate for smaller vessels. And like I say, you can ensure that it's very difficult for them to be polluting the seas and getting away with it.
Mm-hmm.
You could put certain things in place that cause people, when they're going to buy a boat, they're going to make sure certain things are on board. And you have Bahamians buying these boats with these things in place from the U.S. And when they get away, they let them go to rat sea because nobody's checking.
Hey, listen. I got something to bring to your attention.
Yes, sir.
You know the big ships with either container port down in Nassau or in the Freeport?
Watch it now. You know, we don't do much speculation now. You got to be sure.
Man, the people who break down. The niggas in the cranes. I mean, I had a special crane driver. I mean, he telling me, and when they call the key office about them, they say, oh, don't worry about that. You know what I mean? It's people who are in the offices and stuff like that don't want to make no type of, they don't want to do no,
yeah, but it shouldn't be up to them. It shouldn't be up to them, you know. We should have port state inspectors, right, in this country. All over we should have a port state inspection based in Freeport. We have one qualified port state inspector, and I think somebody in training to be a port state inspector for the entire country. And these are the people who go on these vessels to ensure that the SOLAS, the MARPOL, the STCW, all of these conventions are actually being complied with on board these vessels, so they could do these checks and they could catch some of these vessels and they're the ones. You can't expect the facility operator to do enforcement because he has no authority to do it.
Okay, good. Right. See, let me let you know, we're very slack.
Oh yeah.
And we you know, and when people get to find out how we are, they take advantage of the situation. You know what I mean? And then we got some people like who are in position. You know what I mean? You give them a few dollars because of the paycheck they're making, and they take it and you know what I mean? They sell us out. We're being bought out by foreigners, as I speak. You know what I mean? And it ain't good for our environment. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Our free beaches and our free grass and all that, you know what I mean? It's kept in order to be what it is, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
We need some serious stuff to take place, my friend. Amen. And I don't mind what you're doing. You got to ring the bell. Amen.
We gotta ring the bell.
All this bullshit they doing.
we can ring the bell and we can ring it loud because there's so many people with the responsibility. They just sitting on their fat backsides and allowing things to go awry. They just don't care.
See, listen to me. A lot of people need someone to start the movement in their pocket. A lot of people doesn't have the ability to start a movement, especially of that kind, you know what I mean? Because if they start, then people who run them, you know what I mean, knock them on or who die inside their head, and then they club the idea altogether.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
If you get a movement, you know, you're going to be one of those they try to push under the ground. You know what I mean?
But the first thing
you got to do things in more like in a discreet way.
Yeah, but King Arthur, the first thing we got to do is look on what on our law books and apply these things. We don't even need no new law to address most of these things, you know.
It's nobody being held accountable. That's it.
We just need to apply.
Listen, hey.
I'm telling you.
I know, but then you know what I mean. We got some people in certain places. When you a bad guy, they try to, it's not a bad guy, you could be a good guy, but they try to make it that use the bad guy for their, what they into.
But you know, I ain't never been.
This one gotta go, the next one gotta go. But I mean, see, listen, is different. You know right now, over in OCP, when you find that big agreement and stuff like that, you got some people working over there, and they just like that, they just like serious, bro, you know what I mean? Nobody's gonna listen at them, and they gotta do what they say. And if they don't do it, they go on to keep palm just like that.
Yeah, but that's life. I mean, if you have a business and you want people to do certain things certain ways and they don't do it, you will let them go. That's life. That's your business. You got to make it work, right? I'm not saying that people should be taken advantage of because we got laws to protect you from being taken advantage of, right? So
a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, but who's looking out for these people who don't know?
That's what I'm talking about. They are caught up in the system.
Yeah. Well, I agree. But anyway,
they're like me. You know. I know you ain't sit back and let nobody give you no 6 or 9.
Man, that's why I tell you I ain't never been in no popularity contest because I would have never been popular. I was, you know, people don't like me for my mouth. They always tell me, oh, you got plenty mouth. But I biggity because I don't like to see certain things going on that I know is wrong.
Well, being I the same way because I know how to defend myself. And if you tell me something, if you say A, I can say B to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think you live too biggity though.
Well, you my boy, man. You know, hey.
King Adam, thank you for enlightening us and reaching out again, man. We'll keep in touch. And I know you got to get some sleep so you can know how to cast that vote tomorrow. No, don't say nothing. I want you to say nothing.
I can sit back and finish listening to you and your beautiful clean down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Y'all have a good night, bro.
Yes, sir.
So
You as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
So, Misty, before the next call comes, I need to get you on this now. You serve on ships worldwide.
Yes.
You would have been somebody who's undergoing annual surveys, like class.
Yes.
Tell us, when you talk about safety survey, what that really entail? We're looking at the big ship that you sail on.
Right.
Because you sail on many,
sizes,
carriers,
yeah.
And you went all over the world. What ports you all would have had some of these safety inspections?
A lot of them happen in the U.S., but then some happen in...
No, that's port state inspection.
No.
Annual surveys?
Yeah.
In the U.S.?
Yeah.
ABS? Which class was doing it?
DNV, any of them.
Okay.
ABS, Lloyd's.
Lloyd's, Administrator.
So the thing is, these things have to happen. They have to happen within the ship schedule. So A lot of times ships are either on charter or time charter or spot charter, whatever the case is.
Yeah,
so
so
you
you have to
don't
undergo it.
you have to fit it in.
Even port state inspections you should.
Even port
which
state
are also
inspections.
Safety, well, they're safety inspection, but the other ones by class are surveys.
Correct.
So give us some example of what one of them is like on board a ship, going under a survey or a port state inspection.
I mean, they're looking for all the safety equipment. They're looking for the maintenance
Let's
of.
put a pin in safety equipment.
Yeah,
When you say safety equipment, what are we talking about?
we're talking about firefighting equipment.
Capacity, yeah.
We're talking
And what
about
are firefighting equipment like?
you
hydrants,
have
the
fire
hose itself,
hydrants, the hoses. You have
firefighting suits.
not only those, but you're talking about the fire, the main, the fire main, the valves and all of that, right?
Fire main,
So,
the hydrants, yeah.
correct. The extinguishers. You have
Fire pumps.
You have fire dampers. You have
Yeah,
sprinklers. You have. They're looking at all of the things that you would need in place to fight a fire, prevent a fire. All of that, right?
Okay. So that's for firefighting. And when we look at a small vessel like this one, well, of course, the engine is not a operational space. The engine is a
No.
closed space.
Correct.
And they would probably have an extinguisher, or in some cases they may have a drench system for CO2 or something to overpower the engine. while
That you
it's
would
in close
just
of the space.
hit and
Right.
make sure that it's completely enclosed, and it would extinguish.
So we wouldn't have to go to the extent of a fire suit being
No,
donned
no,
on
not
a
in
vessel like this.
Not on a case
Okay,
like
but-
this.
But we still have to look at firefighting safety.
Yes, that's
Although people just
important.
jump in the water because it's not a big ship.
Correct.
Okay, so what else? Okay, that's firefighting. What else would these inspections?
Life saving.
Life-saving appliances.
Correct.
Now, we saw, or I saw, I don't know if you saw, in the videos that people were just donning life jackets
Right.
and jumping into the water.
I mean, I think it was easier at that point because they were so close to the water. This was a double decker, right? So the way the ship was listing or the way it was tilted,
Right.
it was quite easy for them to just get in. They didn't have to do no big dive. They
Yeah,
didn't
but
have-
what about life rafts?
I mean, it would have been good for them.
They have something called scramble net, where it's like a life raft, but it have a net in the middle.
Correct.
And a lot of people could hold on to it.
Yeah, because it has
Shouldn't they have been drawn?
a big flotation ring
Yes.
that they could have held on
Shouldn't they
to.
have been launched?
Yes, I do
And
think
people didn't have
so.
to try and think, but getting from, because the vessel was a good distance from ashore, eh?
It was.
So if the crew were trained, because I am almost sure that most of these vessels, 'cause as a port state, not a port state, but as an inspector for the port department, when I was deputy port controller, I led the inspection team. We would make sure that they have
Sufficient.
these flotation devices that we probably call a scramble net and all that, and we would make sure that the crew knows how to launch them.
Right.
But according to what I saw, I didn't see any of them being.
Now, I
being
saw
launched.
life jackets, but I didn't see anything
Not
being
everybody had
launched.
on life jacket.
Yeah, but
the crew didn't think about launching because they were good distance away from shore.
they were. But what was evident was there were a lot of standby boats and things to help people out of the water. But the boat itself should have had those things, and it should have been launched. I mean, in some cases, you even have those equipment on larger ships, and when you get a hydrostatic release, when water hits it, it automatically releases.
No, yeah, that's when the ship itself is going under.
Yeah.
But now this vessel never fully submerged because the water was too shallow.
Correct.
So in a case like this,
Right.
I was always taught
Mm-hmm.
that you don't leave the ship
No,
unless you think the ship is going to sink.
that's correct.
Now, I think nobody should have gotten off the ship, that vessel, because that vessel was never in danger of going underwater,
Fully, yes.
right?
Agreed.
They could have all gone to the top deck if they had to, because the vessel basically sat on the bottom with the top deck fully exposed at the end of the day.
Right.
So if none of them left that vessel,
Mm-hmm.
nobody had to go in the water until the other vessels came around that could just take them off, because they were never in. And if the crew were telling them,
I was going to say, I think it was just lack of direction.
well, we don't know if they were telling them
Training.
to panic, because again, an investigation is going on. I don't know what happened. I don't like to speculate.
We
Based
saw
on the videos I saw.
I was going to say we saw quite a long
series of videos.
Yes, I mean there was some good footage on this. It was an unfortunate event, but yeah, there was a lot of footage.
So as we move closer to our last 7 minutes, see,
As
we're not going to get to any of our topics.
As we move closer to the last 7 minutes, we've only covered 2 things.
Well, we only can cover 2 things. But what I want you to do is tell us what else, as far as a survey on a small vessel or an inspection, would do. Would they check all of your documents to see, like, your dry dock survey?
Yes.
Your licenses?
So it's twofold. One is definitely a documentation inspection and verification, and then the next is a visual inspection of exactly.
Check your arrangement. Make you do a couple of drills.
You definitely will do drills. They want to see the records of your previous drills to make sure that they're being done. They're talking to everyone on the ship, from the captain all the way down. They want to know that you just didn't rehearse this for the inspection. They want to know the drills are actually happening. They will go and their favorite people to talk to is the people in the galley, because they are not exactly dealing with any maintenance of the ship or in the engine room or anything like that. Their job is to cook and to clean, the steward department.
So they know the firefighting arrangement and what they're supposed to do if they have a fire.
The ABs and the seafarers, they've done enough of these classes that if they weren't having drills on board, they could still answer the questions.
Right.
They want to go to the people that are not, it's not second nature for them to know. And the only way they would be able to answer these things is if these drills are actually happening. Okay. So they used to pick on the galley staff and the stewards, but that's how you know that these things are being done.
So dry docking. Did you ever do a dry dock? Did you ever experience dry docking on any of the ships you served on?
Not on any of the ships I served on, but of course, dealing with security at Grand Bahama Shipyard,
you would have seen ships.
I would have seen ships on dry dock, but no, I've not attended any dry docks.
Okay, so, and again, you could have situations with dry dock where after a while, if the bearings are worn, you can have, if the couple where the shaft engages the engine is not checked on a routine basis, it could disconnect and the shaft could drop out.
Correct. I mean,
that can cause the vessel to take in water.
Definitely.
Same thing with the rudders.
You don't have...
You have bearings and stuff that you need to check the clearance on.
Some people may be confused about this. You don't have to have a hole in your ship in order to take on water.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because you have through holes that you need to have in order for shafts to pass through from the engine to the propeller.
Correct.
In order for the shaft to pass through from the rudder, from the teleflap to for the rudder.
All the way.
And so you
to the steering gear and all of that,
And they even have sea chests.
Correct.
Where the engine takes in salt water.
For cooling. Yes.
So it's a lot of openings in the hull.
Yes.
Design openings.
Yep.
So it ain't necessary that the hull have to crack open to take in water.
Right.
It can take in water through one of these things if there's a failure.
Yes.
Because surveys are not being done to ensure that these things are timely checked.
Right.
So how much time we got left? My goodness. This one over. 4 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up, Miss Lee. In 4 minutes, we have a vessel, and not a vessel, but a litany of vessels.
Yes.
Operating in our country, including our mailboats. Mm-hmm. Right? Our mailboats are not surveyed for safety unless they are surveyed by the insurance company.
Right.
Right? But there's no legislation being applied to ensure that they're surveyed. Mind you, they're being inspected by the Port Department, but that inspection cannot take the place of a survey.
Correct. I mean...
So that inspection is basically just... the first thing that inspection, in my opinion, should ask for is a copy of your local safety certificate to verify that those surveys were done already.
In the Bahamas, we have so many different associations, like the Long Island Association, for instance, or Andros, Eleuthera, all of them. They have boat cruises, right?
All the time.
All the time.
Loaded.
You have...
Even in the night.
Especially in the night.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So my whole thing is, and even back to when I first started my introduction to the maritime industry when I was working with Inez Major, headed to, the company was called Sea Island Adventure, but going over to Rose Island every day.
Every day. That's a good long voyage.
That is a good voyage. It's an hour.
Adventures?
Sea Island Adventure.
Sea Island Adventures. Yeah, I remember those.
The thing about it is, we as passengers at that point, we're so trusting that
things can happen.
Things are gonna go as planned. Things are gonna, this is a seaworthy vessel, so right?
You don't do any practices as to if something go wrong.
No,
because there's no requirement for it.
It's no requirement.
It's going to be surveyed.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right. So we have so much trust in it that we're obviously expecting our authorities to make sure that these things are in place.
Well,
and clearly
we're expecting them to do it. I mean, as a ship owner, that's going to cost you more money, so you don't mind if they don't do it. But the reality is the authorities should ensure,
correct,
from a compliance perspective, that
things are being done.
So if you do have an incident, they can have something to go back on, but we did this.
Yes.
Now here it is, you have an incident, they have nothing to go back on to say, but we did this or we did that.
And we checked this, and this.
Pertaining to safety surveys.
No.
Oh boy. Anyway, our time is kind of fleshed out. So again, I got to go back to thanking my sponsors for keeping the show going. And, there would be One-on-One Pharmacy. Shantia, how you doing, girl? Yeah, I see you for a little while, but you know how we roll. It will also be Bahamas Maritime Connection. Say good night to my good little sister, Catherine, who always tell me, I ain't got no name. I name Glenn's sister. We also sponsored by joint sponsorship, GBI Pallets and Bimini Pallets. And if you want to sponsor, feel free to hit us up and sponsor us. As you know, you can call the station, or you can call Bahamas Maritime Connection, or you can call me. Anybody know how to reach me. And we'll be more than happy to discuss sponsorship. We want to keep it going. And I really need to say thank you to all you wonderful listeners for keeping the show going. I see that you all now going on the website, on our YouTube page, Maritime Matters Bahamas.com, and you actually reviewing the shows, and we're getting big numbers now, so I thank you for that, and continue doing that, because we're not going to stop giving information as we do. I want to thank you, Misty, for gracing us in your 1 week away from home. Oh, Misty now for the past couple of years been living in Texas, so she's only home for a couple of days and then she's off again. And usually when she comes in, she try and give us a little grace on the show, because she has a lot of maritime knowledge, and she's still working in shipping. She's a senior ship manager at a big company called Marathon in the U.S., one of the largest oil producing countries or oil trading companies in the U.S.
Yeah.
And thank you for being with us, Misty.
Thank you.
And my good producer, Craig Gibson, I thank him for always keeping on top of things. And good night, Annie Mae. I don't know if you're going to sleep on me tonight, boy, but you know I'd go, Annie Mae. You're my girl. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, the listeners, for continuing to listen and be a part of our show. And as always, Maritime Matters out.
Watching the ships roll in, then I watch